But I'll let you in on a little secret. People who make YouTube videos saying that you can learn Chinese in 3 months. I have this new way of learning. I wish I knew that 20 years ago when I was learning Chinese, and this will save you a lot of time. Those people are snake oil salesmen. Hello everyone, I am Gan, and I am here to help you learn Chinese. Because if anyone can learn Chinese, you can too. Now, I know this channel used to be called Chinese Corner, then I named it Asian Corner, and now it's called Anyone Can Learn Chinese, because that is what I truly believe. That is a reflection of what I want to do and where I want to take this channel, is to help you become better Chinese speakers and writers, for you to master Chinese. And why do I believe that I can teach you? I've studied Chinese languages and cultures at university. I have lived in Taiwan for almost 13 years, and I lived in China for almost 4 years. And I love to teach people. I want to share my knowledge and experience with you so you can become better. So, anyone can learn Chinese? Yes. Whenever people find out that I am fluent in Chinese, they always ask, wow, isn't Chinese a very difficult language? My answer is always no. It's not more difficult than learning any other language. It is, however, completely different from, let's say, English or Spanish. And you have to put in the work, of course. But difficult? I don't believe so. If you say to yourself that it's going to be difficult, then you're already throwing up hurdles for yourself, and that is not good. Also, don't say to yourself, oh, it's going to be easy, because then you're setting yourself up for failure. Just go into it with a neutral attitude, with an open mind, and do your homework. Put in the hard work, and then you can do it. Learning Chinese does require a different mindset. And in this video, I will teach you 5 things that will help you prepare yourself, prepare your brain for learning Mandarin Chinese. So, what are these 5 things? Let's find out. Number 1, Chinese doesn't have an alphabet. Korean does, Japanese does, but Chinese doesn't. They are all syllables. There's a limited number of syllables, so a beginning consonant, then a vowel sound like O or A, and then for some an ending consonant. And that's it. And each syllable can have one of the 4 tones or a neutral tone. And then words consist of 1 character or maybe 2 or 3 characters, maybe more, and that's it. But you first have to have that pronunciation down. Don't start learning vocabulary and words right away. Again, that is setting yourself up for failure. I know there are a lot of YouTube channels around that teach you otherwise, that say just learn the words and the vocabulary and sentences and the pronunciation will come later. But I'm telling you, that is not the way to go about it. Spend time learning the pronunciation, getting it down, and then start learning words. Of course, after a few weeks of doing the pronunciation and then learning words, it doesn't mean after a few weeks your pronunciation is going to be perfect, but you will have the foundation. You will know the tones. You will know the beginning sounds, the retroflexes like zhi and chi, things like that. And during the months and years of learning Chinese, you'll perfect your pronunciation. But the foundation has to be there. And then number 2, the writing. So the pronunciation is a syllable with a tone, and that is attached to a little picture that we call a character. And that is what a lot of people know about Chinese. Oh, it has these different, some people call it drawings. And you don't write Chinese, you draw Chinese, which is silly because it's the same as English or German. It's all lines and circles and hooks and other things. You just draw them in a different order or in a different direction. But as with learning A and B and C, there's a direction in which you have to move your pen or pencil. And once you have that direction down, then you know how to write. And it's the same with Chinese. You start out with very easy characters like 人 for human and 大, big. And after that, you learn more and more characters. But what is different though is that in English, you learn 26 letters. That is the writing. You have that down and you can write any word that you want. Short words, long words, you can write sentences. Chinese, you have to wait a while before you get comfortable, before you can write a lot of words, because the characters are a little bit more complicated, a little bit more lines and circles, and you have to write each character 100 times, 200 times, maybe even more, before it becomes a reflex, muscle memory. And that takes time. Again, there are no shortcuts. People who say, learn Chinese in 3 months, that is ridiculous. I mean, people in China and in Taiwan and Singapore and other Chinese-speaking countries, they also don't learn it in 3 months. So how can you believe that you in a Western country can learn their language in 3 months? That is utter nonsense. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Because Chinese likes to repeat elements of characters. So at the beginning, you will learn a lot of characters, but after a while, you start to recognize, hey, wait, that part of that character I see in that character. I already know how to write that character, so that makes writing the new character a lot easier. And as you progress, you will see that more and more and more. So at the beginning, yes, a lot of work. You have to put in the work, sit down, write your characters. But after a while, once you're past that, the beginning stage, it'll become a lot easier. And you will learn it a lot more quickly. Number 3, a little bit more about the words. Because Chinese likes to think in ideas, in concepts. We'll see Chinese thought and culture in the words, in the characters. Of course, that is not with all characters, because the character for apple just means apple. There is no concept of apple behind it, or a chair, or a window, or a dog, or a cat. It's the same as in English, as in German, as in Spanish, any other language. But there are certain words that are not easily translatable. You have to feel these in your heart. And you have to have experienced this living in a Chinese-speaking country like I have, living in Taiwan. So I can share that with you. A very important word, for instance, is 人情味. Now, if I throw this into Google Translate, it will say human touch. What? There's no touching involved. I can tell you that. But what is it? Well, it is the idea, the concept of caring for other people, of doing each other favors. Not like in a I scratch your back, you scratch mine, that we both gain and we both profit from something, but it's because you actually care about your fellow human being. So that is what 人情味 means. So again, you cannot translate that into one or two English words. And there are a lot more words like that in Chinese, but you will learn those later on once you progress, once you are past the beginning stage of amassing vocabulary and beginning grammar. Have patience, you will learn those. Number 4, Chinese grammar. And all I can say about Chinese grammar is that it is very concise. And there's a lot less of it than English grammar or German grammar. My professor of modern Chinese language once told me in Chinese it's more about the color of a sentence than the actual one strict word order. That doesn't mean there is no word order, that you can just spout words out and then people will understand what you mean. Of course, there are fixed word orders, but you are free in a lot of variations. So there are sentence patterns and structures, but very often you can switch words around. What is a constant though is that every Chinese sentence is an SVO sentence, so a subject, verb, object. In English, I eat an apple, sentences like that. And even when you ask a question, that sentence structure, the SVO, does not change. In English, we use words like do or does to make a question, but Chinese doesn't have that. Now, if you want to learn more about this SVO sentence structure, watch one of my videos that will explain this. And number 5, if you want to learn Chinese, if you are serious about learning Chinese, be strict to yourself in the beginning. Chinese has a steep learning curve. What does that mean? Everything that you learn is new. New kind of pronunciation, new grammar, new writing system. The Chinese ideas and concepts, they will all come at you all at once. So you have a steep learning curve like this. But hang in there. Once you are past that learning curve, things will become a lot easier. You will do things a lot more intuitively. But in the beginning, be strict, especially with writing. However you can do it, how much time you have each day. If you only have 20 minutes, use those 20 minutes to the fullest. Find a quiet spot, no distractions. Sit down at a desk with a paper and a pen or a pencil and start writing each character out 100 times, 200 times, until you get that muscle memory down. And then you do the next character and the next character and the next character and so on. You can start out by doing 5 characters each week. And then after a few weeks, 10 characters per week. And then after a few weeks, 20 characters per week. You don't have to do 50 characters in your first week of learning Chinese. That's impossible. Start slowly with a few characters, but practice every day. Don't be a slouch. And then again, there are no shortcuts. You have to put in this work. People who make YouTube videos saying that you can learn Chinese in 3 months. I have this new way of learning. I wish I knew that 20 years ago when I was learning Chinese, and this will save you a lot of time, and don't use this traditional method. But usually the traditional methods work, especially with Chinese. Those people are snake oil salesmen. Sit down, learn the characters. Again, the same with the pronunciation. Be strict to yourself in the beginning. Do the tones right. I know there are people out there who say, first, learn words and then the pronunciation will come later. But that's nonsense. If you don't know how to pronounce a word correctly, people will not understand you. If your pronunciation is bad, your Chinese is bad. And don't think for 1 minute that if you say the word in the wrong tone, people will have the imagination to guess what you're saying. That's not going to happen. They're going to say, huh? What? I don't understand what you're saying, and then move on. Do you want that? I don't think so. So practice your pronunciation every day until you get the basics down, the foundation, then start learning words and vocabulary. And as you progress, your pronunciation will also be perfect. But it takes time. Learning Chinese takes time. Learning any language takes time, but especially Chinese because everything is new. But as I said before, once you're past that beginning stage, the learning curve, things will come a lot easier. You will be able to hold a conversation with someone a lot faster. And don't think that you have to speak very quickly. A lot of YouTubers out there that show off their Chinese, their perfect Chinese, they do that. But it's because they want to mask their bad Chinese, their bad pronunciation. And after having lived in Taiwan and China for such a long time and being fluent in Chinese myself, my ears are very sensitive to that. So it doesn't matter how fast they speak, I catch their mistakes. And I don't want you to make the same mistakes like that. So I've lived in Taiwan, I've lived in China, and people don't always speak that fast. There are also people that speak slowly. So you can too. Speak slowly. And once you're comfortable, you learn more words, more grammar, you can speak faster. But in the beginning, take it easy, take it slowly. Thank you for watching this video till the end. Now, with these tips, you are ready to learn Chinese. Now you have the knowledge, put it to use. See you in the next video.